This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. We're glad to have you with us. I am joined by Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
Thank you. It has been.
Yeah, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Gosh, there's nothing going on up at the state capitol, so I'm sure we couldn't find anything to talk about. Let's begin with the topic of medical marijuana. It's been a big issue. You sent out an opinion earlier in the week about that basically said that the actions required of the General Assembly under the medical marijuana amendment appear to be mandatory under the plain terms of that. Still, there are lawmakers asking questions about it. Does the vote of the people of Arkansas give state lawmakers the opportunity to violate federal law?
Well, it's not a matter of whether it's violating federal law. It just requires, the amendment does, that was passed by the voters, that the General Assembly do as they are doing, and we have the commission moving forward, setting up rules and regulations for medical marijuana in Arkansas. And essentially what the opinion says is that while marijuana use possession is still illegal under federal law, that question of whether or not charges would be brought is up to the federal prosecutors. That's not up to Arkansas.
So when you look at this on the surface, and Senator Jason Rapert's asked for further clarification on this, do you think that lawmakers are going to be in violation of the federal law if they pass some state laws to do this?
Well, I said in the opinion to a request from Representative Doug House. He's the one that asked the first opinion request. I do believe that we have a second one from Senator Rapert on the issue, is that while it's still illegal under federal law, that's a question for federal prosecutors, Roby. That's not a question for Arkansas, but I did say that I do believe that any prosecution to lawmakers or to the Medical Marijuana Commission would likely fail. But I don't have my crystal ball, and I'm not a federal prosecutor, so I don't get to make those decisions. But it is, the will of the people. They spoke, they voted in November, and that's why we're moving forward with the commission, the laws. I did say that I think that the legislature, the General Assembly, should and must move forward. Senator
Rapert has requested an opinion, as you referenced there earlier, suggesting that he may push legislation to restrict the ways that medical marijuana can be used. It can't be smoked is apparently his big issue there. Could that be in violation of the amendment? Do you foresee the legislature having abilities to restrict the use of medical marijuana?
We just received his opinion request on Thursday, and so I don't want to go too far into, I haven't had time to study it and look at what all the questions were asked, and so I don't want to go too far down that road until we have had time to look at it.
What does the decision entail, though, in terms of this? I mean, I doubt there's precedent out there because we haven't had a medical marijuana amendment before, so what will you be looking at in that opinion process?
Well, what we'll look at is essentially very much what we looked at with regard to Representative House's opinion request, and what is required of the General Assembly. Should they move forward? Yes, they should. Will it likely be in violation, or prosecution would likely fail or be successful? I don't know what a federal prosecutor is going to do, so I can't say answer to that, but I do believe it would likely fail as to the actions of the General Assembly.
All right, so still undecided on Senator Rapert's request for an opinion on this?
It's not that we're undecided, we just haven't had time to dig into it yet. We just received it on Thursday, so as soon as we've had time to go through all the applicable law, then we'll have an answer to him shortly, because we know time is of the essence.
Well, is there any time frame on this for you in terms of turning it around?
Well, we will have it, I'm not going to say a matter of days, but we will have it turned around pretty quickly, because we know that the legislature's in session. They're only in session for a limited amount of time. The Medical Marijuana Commission has a certain amount of time to promulgate these rules and regulations for individuals to move forward.
Let's shift to another topic here. Talk about school choice. A big to-do up at the Capitol this week in terms of a rally. You had a bill filed by State Representative Jim Dotson to allow more school choice, for money to flow from public schools to private schools, even for some homeschool instances. The governor has come out and says he has reservations about this because of the price tag on it. I know you're a big supporter of school choice, but my bigger question to you is, if that measure were to be successful, could it disrupt the Lakeview settlement? And is that of concern to you?
Well, we are looking at both of these bills and anticipating that there might be challenges overall, and I want to talk about school choice and opportunities for children, and that's where I don't think that we can put a price tag on that. Yes, I understand that there are budgetary concerns, and that's a concern that the governor has to look at.
Right.
But as an Arkansan, as someone who wants more opportunities for school children, it should not matter the price tag. And so we will be looking at it if these bills pass, if there are challenges to either of them, because Senator English has a bill as well as Representative Dotson as to school choice. But again, it's about giving children of Arkansas the same opportunities of children everywhere. I was blessed to have a incredible education and opportunities, as I'm sure that you were, and many students have been, but not all students do, Roby.
Yeah.
And that's who we have to look at is, parents should be given the same opportunities. For years, these kids have been told under the past federal administration, yes, you can, yes, you can. But parents were told, no, you can't. No, you can't make those decisions. Right. And every parent, guardian, should have the opportunity to make individualized education plans for their student.
Back to the premise of my question,
yes.
though, does Lakeview enter into the calculus on this, though? Would you be looking at this when you're giving guidance to the legislature
Well,
on
we're
this?
going to be looking at whether it's Lakeview or any other in terms of funding, but I don't believe off the top of my head that either one of those would be impacted, but I'm not going to shoot from the hip when it comes to legal advice.
All right, let's turn our attention to things happening at the national level. President Donald Trump wasting little time with executive actions, Keystone, TPP, there's a laundry list of things that he has already made some orders on. Which executive order do you think is going to have the most impact on Arkansas?
Well, I think that President Trump's pulling back all regulations, directing these federal agencies to not move forward with regulations, whether they have been sent to be published, whether they're in draft form, in order to give his administration the opportunity to look at these and to see if they're necessary and overreaching. I've been on the lead on the critical habitat regulations, which would expand the definition of critical habitat, expand the definition, or rather expand the reach of federal government, and more lands in Arkansas would fall under that, and impacting all private property landowners and certainly our farmers and ranchers. The Farm Bureau has spoken out against it. We are part of a lawsuit, and we're actually leading a lawsuit on that issue, along with there are 18 states involved in it.
Republicans have wailed against President Obama for using executive orders. Is this a sign of hypocrisy now that they're not crying foul that President Trump's using executive orders?
Well, as the Attorney General, you are absolutely right. I was very upset anytime President Obama would use an executive order to go beyond the scope of the authority given to him as president. And basically, he was trying to stand in the place of Congress. These executive orders by the president are not doing that. If this president and any president goes beyond the scope of his or her authority, then we would push back on it. But that's what President Obama did. He was constantly going beyond the scope. The agencies were, whether it was the EPA, the Department of Labor, which we were very successful in putting a hold on the Department of Labor's overtime rule, which was to have gone into effect in December. We had some big wins, and it was because the courts recognized that President Obama went beyond the scope of his authority.
I got 20 seconds for this last question here. Supreme Court pick coming this next week. Who's it going to be?
I don't know.
Merrick Garland. It's going to be Merrick Garland.
It is probably not going to be Merrick Garland, but I'm going to leave that decision up to President Donald Trump.
All right. She's Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. Thank you so much for being
Roby.
here. Still to come, George Macris, Chairman and CEO of Simmons First. We're back right after this.